So, we talked a lot today about the fact that there's a good likelihood that several characteristics or traits in terms of selection for those traits might be overdone in the cattle business. And specifically, we spent a lot of time talking about traits that could be overdone in the commercial cow-calf business. And so the ones that I am most concerned about would include genetic potential for milk yield, genetic potential for muscling, and then that relates to mature size. And then the last one we talked about was growth. We may actually be overdoing that if your perspective is a commercial low input cow-calf operation. There is no simple way to determine the point at which you might be overdoing those from a selection standpoint. However, just from a survival of the fittest standpoint, that may be the best way to look at it, because those animals that aren't able to be retained in your production system, just from a pregnancy and calving standpoint, are telling you that they may not match the forage resources of the environment. So pretty simple and straightforward way to go about acquiring a cow herd that's better matched would be simply to not pamper them, first of all, and to go ahead and remove the cows that don't remain productive. And over time, they will tell you which ones don't match. The most obvious genetic trend that is uniform among all the breeds is a never-ending arms race we are in the middle of for growth. Okay, and if you stop and think about what advantages that particular trait brings to a commercial cow-calf operation, you have to wonder how much positive benefits that characteristic brings to commercial cow-calf enterprise. And in fact, we talked about some of the negative antagonisms that could be associated with that. The other one we talked about was our aggressive selection for muscle, and that one's probably a lot more straightforward, because there's no question that in biology, whether it's people, cattle, rodents, get selected for extremes particularly in terms of muscling or leanness, fertility suffers. Another one we talked about was milk production, and some of the dual purpose breeds that entered the industry 30, 40, 50 years ago have slightly backed off in milk production, and that's probably a good thing. All the rest of the breeds in the industry are aggressively selecting for genetic potential for milk yield. And we talked a lot about the details relative to the potential antagonisms that will eventually bring to the industry. The ideal cow would be one in which raises a thrifty calf and breeds back early every year. Ideally, of course, you would want that calf to very well fit the supply chain for beef production and have a quality carcass at the end of the day. However, the ideal cow would require low inputs, minimal, supplemental feed, minimal human intervention, probably retain good body composition. In other words, be able to survive and thrive on forages without all the supplementation. And the main thing, though, would be to breed back each year. The rest of it kind of take care of itself.